The Treasury have said that the costing difference in the budget arises from the imputation system operating as intended in the absence of contrived arrangements. So what is the current costing for the forward estimates?
Minister.
Senator Bragg, thank you for the question. $10 million per year.
Senator Bragg.
Thank you. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is why is there a costing of $10 million each year when the Treasury Department had said during the committee hearing into the bill that there aren't, in their words, quote unquote, there aren't any cases of this?
Minister.
Senator Bragg, I'm advised that that cost would occur or would go up in terms of the bad activity. If there was nothing done to stop that, we would see the costs rise.
Senator Bragg.
Okay, so the Treasury said in a question on notice, answer on notice I should say, quote, there was no confirmed activity linked to frank distributions funded by capital raising since 2016. So I'm just trying to understand how there could be a change to the budget position if there's been no activity that this measure is apparently designed to address in the last 7 years.
Minister.
Thank you for the question, Senator Bragg. That would probably be because the previous government, under the then Minister for the Treasury, was Scott Morrison, who had brought it forward as something that was going to occur in terms of closing the loophole, and that never occurred, which is why we are now doing it.
Senator Bragg.
Okay, so what is the costing based on? Is it based on data from current market conditions today, or is it based on market data from 2016?
Minister.
Thank you, Senator Bragg. It's based on what would occur if nothing was going to happen at all. And it became clear that that wasn't what we could do. We had to do something.
Senator Bragg.
So what were the inputs that Treasury used to come up with that $10 million? If there's been no activity for 7 years, I'm trying to understand how there could be a contemporaneous costing done.
I'm advised, Senator Bragg, that we're using the latest and only data from 2016.
Senator Bragg.
Okay, so just to confirm that, the data for a measure in 2023 is based on data from 2016-17. Can you explain how the impact of the time value of money and inflation has impacted that $10 million costing from 7 years ago?
Senator Bragg, you started at the outset of your questions, and I just want to put on the record here that Treasury didn't admit there was no need for changes in this bill. Treasury is specifically on the record saying that the measure would continue to protect future revenue at risk if the government did not legislate this measure, and that existing legislation is not adequate. And they note that if there wasn't to be that legislation, it would send a signal that the behaviour that had been witnessed before the alert issued in 2016 could be allowed to resume. So, yes, we are looking in its whole entirety from here to 2016, and the fact that that loophole was never closed is why we're standing here today.
Senator Bragg.
My question was, has the $10 million, how has that been adjusted over the last 7 years? Has that been affected by the time value of money and inflation?
Minister.
Senator Bragg, I refer you again to the genesis of all this. As I said, the Liberal government announced that they were going to close this loophole. If the government indicated that it would never to be legislated, then the activity would likely start again. If you're concerned that there hasn't been any data for 7 years, you'd have to take that up with the member for Cook in the other place.
Senator Bragg.
It's not clear to me whether the $10 million costing has been inflated or has been whether the time value of money has been taken into account here. So that's the question. The question is not about other people. The question is about how your costing in your budget has been developed and how it stacks up.
Minister.
Thank you, Senator Bragg. I am advised that it is based on the best available data.
Senator Bragg.
So does it seem peculiar to you that data collected 7 years ago, when there was market activity, which was a cause for concern, generates the same number 7 years later when there's no market activity?
Minister.
I refer to my previous answer.
Senator Bragg.
During the committee process, I sought the advice of the PBO to do a costing on this measure, and the Treasury did not agree to the disclosure of information to the PBO for the purposes of this costing. Can you explain why that happened?
Senator Bragg, I'm advised that secrecy provisions prevented the full release due to tax secrecy laws.
Senator Bragg.
So how confident are you that this costing will stand up? Do you think there is a risk that this costing, given it's based on such ancient data, is not going to be right? And particularly given the uncertainty about the way that the drafting in the bill stands, and given the considerable stakeholder concern about whether it has a wider application, what is your view, for the record, about the likelihood that this particular costing is in fact not an accurate and contemporaneous costing?
Minister.
Senator Bragg, we stand by our costings, and as I said in my previous response, if you have questions around the genesis of this and what's happened over the past 7 years, I refer you to your colleague Scott Morrison, MP in the other House.